the heck was that?
I didn't know when you were stopping the hello.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough.
And welcome back to another episode of Dear Hollow Heroes.
And you learn that this is how you peak a microphone very quickly, Rob.
Well, I'm peeking all the time. Wait, no.
Huh?
Alrighty. Welcome to another episode of Dear Hollow Heroes. And of course we know that me and Liam have poverty teams and Rob is thriving. Same old, same old.
I would say thriving.
Rob, well, actually, yeah, it was a rough week. What was it? Week 10 for you. With the Browns making that comeback win over the Ravens. How do you feel about that really quickly?
Not good.
Yeah, not good. Not
How
good.
else could he feel?
I feel great. I feel like we have.
That was our best loss of the season. No, it was terrible.
Best loss ever. We got some great stories. We got college football this episode. We got basketball. And we have, of course, game time followed up by a little bit of NFL to round it up. And don't forget our locks and upsets as per usual. And we also have an announcement for Dear Hollow Heroes. We are officially under a corporation, this massive, gigantic starter-up corporation. Get your stocks ready. It's under the new corporation, BP Media.
I feel like that did not sell it at all. I would not want to invest.
How
in
would you sell BP Media?
Not like that.
Well, no. How would you do it?
That's a small local thing,
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
right? More people would want to do that.
This is why you're selling it, and I'm just making it.
It's the Death Corporation. Like, why would anyone buy in?
Maybe just start off calling it Ben Petrick Media. That way people don't have to assume what the BP stands for.
Yeah.
Well, BP Media is Ben Petrick Media, and now you guys are making me regret the title, but no, I'm sticking to it. I think it's good. Okay. So Dear Hollow Heroes is under BP Media. So we got to get right into the top stories. We have a little bit of a news coming out of San Diego. The owner, Peter Seidler, has passed away at the age of 63 years old. He was a two-time cancer survivor. And, of course, here, Dear Hollow Heroes, our thoughts and condolences go out to the Cedar and O'Malley family. And
just real quick, I just want to say, Seidler did a lot for the Padres organization, just trying to put them on the map as a legit baseball team after years of struggle. So, kudos to him.
Yeah, and now they have found their way to the NLCS last year and have now surged into one of the most marketable teams in the league right now. So he's done a lot for that team. What was once kind of a forgettable team in the league now is one of the more popular ones. So again, our thoughts and condolences to the Cedar and O'Malley family. And now we're going to go into our first story, and this one goes into the NCAA football team with one of the most controversial stories going into it. And Rob, I think you're the one that dialed up this story, so I'm going to let you present it.
This past week, the Big Ten suspended Michigan Wolverines football coach Jim Harbaugh over allegations of cheating. The NCAA said that the team had sent scouts to games of Michigan's future opponents to specifically see what the sideline signals of teams were giving for their offense. The team analyst Connor Stallions was the head of the operation. He's resigned. Jim Harbaugh got suspended for the remainder of the regular season. Was the suspension a worthy one, or did Jim just get the short end of the stick?
You want to start, or shall I?
Well, personally, I feel like see, this is the thing. This seems like one of those scandals that everyone did.
So yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
This is one that everyone did, and you are the unfortunate soul that got caught. Kind of just like in Spygate in 2007, I think, or 2008. It was where everyone did it, and then one team got caught and now has to bear the punishment.
So here's my issue with it. I played college ball, and playing college ball, I was an offensive tackle, and we always had to hide our signals because we knew there was a chance that they were filming our practice or filming our games and trying to watch for our signals. I mean, it's almost part of the game to actually hide your signals, change them weekly. That's why they're signals. That's why you keep them low key. So, I mean, if they're that easy to find, I don't know. I think every team does it because I think a lot of teams in our conference did it. I think even on the high school level they do it, and certainly I think in the pros you have to do it. There has to be someone on that organization who's looking at signals.
So the big part about the story isn't necessarily that they did it, but it was the way in which they did it and also how they got caught. So what they did was they sent the scouts to these games and got them great seats right on the 50-yard line, staring at these future opponents of Michigan, just to figure out what these signals are for what plays. And then that specific scout would be seen on the Michigan sideline when they're playing that said opponent, watching the signals across the field and telling the defensive coordinator, hey, this is what this signal means. And it wasn't just someone said, here, Michigan might be doing this. They have a whole docket of information saying, here's the schedule that that they were given, what games they were going to go to, how much money they could spend on tickets, what specifically to look for at each game, and all that information found its way to the NCAA office. It's not necessarily that, they were the ones who just got caught, but they got caught in grandiose fashion.
Yeah.
It's everything all at once was found.
But see, here's my other problem with this is, when is it too much? Because, yeah, I agree, sitting a scout on the 50-yard line and reporting back directly to the head coach or the coordinators, it's too much. But, I mean, is, getting film from a game and seeing the signals on the sideline too much? Is that legal? Is anyone going to be...
I think
it can't be caught.
I think it's just you could easily send someone to record their game, watch it anyway. How is that bad? I think in practices you're not allowed to have
I agree. In a practice it's different. But in a game, anyone's allowed to buy tickets to that game.
True.
And
anyone's
they film
allowed
most
to
of them
record
on
the
television.
game.
Most of them are on television.
It's pretty public information.
Yeah, and you're out in public. See, you could argue that a practice is private. Yeah.
So this is just a statement from the NCAA that felt very prominent that I just wanted to read for this story. So this is not a sanction on Coach Harbaugh. It is a sanction against the university that, under the extraordinary circumstances presented by this offensive conduct, best fits the violation because 1, it preserves the ability of the university's football student athletes to continue competing, and 2, it recognizes that the head coach embodies the university for the purpose of its football program. So they're saying, we suspended Harbaugh because he's the head coach. The buck stops here. You can't blame anyone past the head coach necessarily.
That's fair enough.
And they still wanted to let Michigan play.
My problem isn't really with who got suspended. It's with the suspension more in general. And I can't even say that there is a problem. I'm not sure, really. Because there's no finer details. There's no real precedence here.
I think that, in my opinion, they just wanted someone to be the scapegoat. And they've done this time and time again with sports in general.
But I don't even think he's a scapegoat.
They just want someone to be punished. When there's too many people to punish or there's too few people to punish, you punish one person and give them the brunt of it all.
So you have a problem that it is Harbaugh being suspended?
I kind of do. I feel like it should be the athletic director or the head of operations.
But he's not there with the team every day.
Fair.
They really don't have that much to do directly with the team.
So, I think the thing that really cements why they suspended Harbaugh or suspended anyone is because the information was brought to the NCAA. And once they have it, they can't just let it slide by. Because you see that they let Michigan skate with cheating when they saw the evidence. Does that mean they're favoriting Michigan? Yeah, once you see it, as the overseeing body, you have to do something. Now, they only suspended him 3 games. That is the remainder of the season. But if Michigan goes to a bowl game or makes the postseason, he can come back. It's just the last 3 regular season games.
All right. I mean, that's really not that bad.
They just need to... I think if they win out, they're in the postseason.
Probably.
If they win out and they don't get, I don't think their schedule's that bad.
Now, it is... I do understand why they're still letting Michigan, the actual team and the players continue to play, because the players were just being told by the coaches, hey, here's what formation you're going to line up and what you're going to look for.
True.
Because the coaches knew. And the players, sure, they were playing off of unfair information according to the NCAA.
You could argue they didn't even know.
And yeah, that they're like, hey, coach just told me this is what the play is.
I'm
That's
sure
the
there's
play I have
at
to
least
run.
a good portion of the players that didn't know.
I would think it's a vast majority of them.
Yeah.
If anything, they're saying even Harbaugh didn't know about the incidents. But if the scouts are on the sidelines talking to the defensive coordinator,
that's true.
yeah, exactly. So I think it's just the NCAA saying we have to stick to our own rules. We can't let anyone slide by.
But what is the rule?
The official rule was it's just unsportsman conduct. I think it falls under that category. It's very vague, but it's... Let's see if I can find the exact reasoning.
But I think that it's, again, even with it, like, I don't know, part of me just feels like they punished for the sake of punishing. They didn't really look into who deserves
Well, I want to
punishment.
know what the rule is. That's my biggest thing.
Yeah.
So the from the same statement that I read earlier, the goal of the scheme was to gain an unfair advantage by stealing the signs of teams that the university's football team was due to play later in the season. Such as a misconduct inherently compromises the integrity of competition. So it falls under the integrity of competition rule. No, I don't have that official rule
Again,
in
it's
front
such
of
a
me.
gray area.
It is
Such
it is a
gray
gray area, but I think it's because how well detailed and organized they recorded and saved the information from the sideline. It's not that, I was watching the game on the TV and this is what I saw. No, I sent a guy there with his own camera and his own notebook to make sure he got every last detail of every single one.
Now, this is how I feel about it. I feel like in the NCAA is kind of like the NFL with Spygate. Everyone's doing it. They know if they don't punish at all, everyone's just going to do it. If the punishment isn't severe, everyone's just going to do it. So, personally, I think they were just like, we got to say a punishment that everyone will know. Harbaugh's going to be all over the news. He's going to get the punishment. Now everyone will stray away from it. What the NCAA did, I'm not saying it was a bad decision. And I just think it was kind of like a let's just make sure nobody does this. It wasn't a thought out find the culprit. It was more of just throw a punishment out there that scares people. Because Harbaugh's the most noted. He's the biggest name in Michigan football, obviously, because he's probably going to get head coaching offers like he does every year. So he's the most notable person in that organization. So part of me just thinks they're just doing that to kind of like send a message more than it is to punish Jim Harbaugh.
So it's because they can't use another way that it's part of this, stealing. I understand if you're at the game and you're watching and you just notice the pattern, you're seeing it happen. It's like, they keep doing this every single time they're running to the left. That's fine. That's all good. It's like when a runner on second base can tell when a pitcher's going to throw a fastball because he's reading what
because they're tipping.
Yeah, because they're tipping. But the NCAA, I think, is just saying, we're cutting down on the side stealing. Michigan, you got caught. Harbaugh, you're the head coach. The blame lands on you.
Well, tell us what you guys think about the Harbaugh suspension. Of course, you can message us on the socials. Liam, you're the socials guy. Where can they find us?
Twitter and Instagram, definitely. And the TikTok is,
it's there.
It's getting there.
I read it. I read it once a week. So
okay, there you go.
Liam hasn't had control of it yet, but I read it once a week just to check on it.
Also, just want to quick shout out my dad for asking me this question to actually get it onto the show.
Yeah, prompt it.
Mr. Kelly. So we're going to move into even more college football as the college football playoffs are looming. And here are the unofficial rankings right now. You have probably at number one, these are all like unofficial. You have Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Washington, Florida State, Oregon, Texas, Alabama, Louisville, and Oregon State. Those are probably the top 10. So which of these teams are going to be in the college football playoffs coming 2.5 weeks from now? Who do you think is going to be the team that probably should be making it, but they're going to be disappointed?
Just a note, these unofficial rankings, very close to the real ones. Just Florida State and Washington are flipped at 4 and 5. Florida State is now 4th, and Washington is 5th.
Well, Michigan's 2 over there.
And Michigan is 2. Ohio is now 3. Well, yeah, that also flipped in the official AP standings. Just so you know.
Okay.
Georgia's in. We all know that, right?
Yep.
I mean, barring something spectacular, they're in. Michigan lost their coach now. Do we think they could drop.
This is
They also won their next game after Harbaugh got
It
started.
was Penn State. They beat Penn State, which is a solid team, but this is where
It's not a ranked team.
This is where it gets interesting. Ohio
Penn State
State
is ranked 12th.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
They are a ranked team.
This is where it gets interesting. Ohio State and Michigan face off in the last game of the season. So I think odds are it is a battle for who gets the playoff spot.
I don't think so.
I
think they're both in.
But you also have to look at Washington, who's undefeated.
Yeah, here's the thing I have to say about Washington. Washington last year was not a Division I school. This year they are, so they cannot make the playoffs. That's NCAA rule.
Wow.
It's a crazy, crazy dumb rule.
Wow.
But they cannot make the playoffs.
They can't?
No.
What? Because
they were Division II last year and they made the bump up to Division I this year.
Didn't they make the postseason last year?
Washington?
Washington.
No, not Washington. Sorry, but so they just because they're year one, they can't do it.
Yep.
How many years till you can?
Next year they can.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, they're 10-0 in Division I. They've been playing good teams. They're ranked 5th in the AP poll, but they cannot make the playoffs. So I feel like that should be noted.
That's
insane.
huge.
That's insane.
So
Which might help Michigan and Oregon State or Ohio State. Sorry.
my personal 4 that I think are going to make it, since the playoffs are not expanded yet, Georgia is the easiest in ever.
So easy.
I think it's going to go Georgia, Ohio State, Florida State, because I don't see Florida moving down that far, and then Texas.
Really?
I think Michigan's going to drop off just because they do have those last games, one against Ohio State and without their head coach.
I was going to say Oregon gets in. And I'm going back and forth between Michigan and Florida State dropping.
Well, I can tell you right now, Texas has an easy schedule than compared to
That's
Oregon.
not a good thing, though.
They have an easier schedule compared to Oregon because Oregon could drop and lose to Oregon State. So that's going to be
But Ben, if they win that strength of schedule, they're getting in.
That is true.
Strength of schedule means so much
Yeah.
for college ball.
So if we're looking at an easier schedule, that's going to hurt Texas.
Granted, I have seen more Texas games than Oregon, and they do just look really good this year.
Oregon, I mean,
Strength of schedule.
they're putting up insane numbers, and they have a very good defense.
Strength of schedule goes to Texas. They beat better teams this year.
So far, but the remainder of the schedule is kind of...
Yeah, but if they beat better teams, why is Oregon ranked above them?
Probably
Because of the decisiveness of their wins.
Yes.
They scored 36 against USC, and it still felt like they didn't score enough.
Who?
Oregon. It felt like they left points out there.
So
They're a very good offense, coupled with a good defense.
So yeah, the thing that does help Oregon is they still have one ranked team left on their schedule in Oregon State. Texas doesn't have any ranked teams left on their schedule. But I just think Texas is I don't want to say just an overall better team, but it's just, I think they, in these last 2 games, can put up a higher point differential than Oregon can. And just completely demolish these teams.
It's not crazy, but I think Oregon's been winning more. They've only had 2 wins within 14 points. The rest have been all blowouts.
That is true. Yeah.
They're playing really well. And my problem with Florida State, and this is why I think Florida State is probably the one dropping in my opinion, is when they played Miami, it was a somewhat of a game within the first half.
Slugfest.
Yeah. And then they pulled away. And it wasn't even like
They won by 7.
crazy pulling away. Yeah, it ended up getting close again. And I don't know.
The one thing I do have to say about when they play Miami, that is like the big rivalry
It
of
is
those
the big
two
rivalry.
schools. So that's when both of those schools are trying their hardest just to beat up on each
But
other.
Miami isn't ranked.
No, but it's always a good football program.
It is, but
Here's something that's also a tidbit to understand. Georgia is going to be facing Alabama. So I think Alabama's out. I don't think Alabama has a shot.
They're 8th. They're not getting in.
yeah,
They're not getting in. But Alabama has a chance to play spoiler. Because if Alabama beats Georgia, and you're looking at Ohio State that face Michigan, they're both one of those 2 teams are making it. You know Ohio State or Michigan's going to make it. So you got that one. They could easily both make it. Florida State, I don't think has any threat to not make it for the rest because if they win, yeah, they have 2 easy wins to get. Florida's the harder one, but they have 2 convincingly easy wins to get. If they win it, they're kind of in. So you kind of have one Ohio State or Michigan. So that's 1. Florida State 2. And then you have those 2 spots. Georgia should get it. If Georgia beats Alabama, it's over.
Georgia most likely
Georgia will most
get it.
likely get it. So unless Alabama plays spoiler. So you're really looking at the one extra spot that's between Michigan, Oregon, and Texas. And unless Alabama decides to beat Georgia by 1,000,000 points, which is never happening. So unless that's what happens.
Are we assuming that Florida State is in? Because if Michigan wins out and Florida State wins out, Florida State faced nobody that great. Michigan will stay above them. And if Oregon can beat a ranked team decisively, I think they're going to leapfrog them.
But that's saying, Florida State would be undefeated. Oregon will have that one loss that hangs on them.
Who'd they lose to?
They lost to Washington.
I don't know if that necessarily will hurt them that bad.
No, it will. If you're undefeated, if they end the season undefeated, they're pretty much in. All of these teams,
how it goes.
Yeah.
the top 3 teams, 3 of these teams could go undefeated and get in of the top 4 right now, which is Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan, Florida State. 3 of them have the ability to win out. They win out, they're in. There's that one spot that's really, and I think 3 of them will easily win out. The only game that will cause a loss is between Michigan and Ohio State. And Ohio State. So that
Georgia
game,
and Bama too.
That game might open it up, and yes, that's where Georgia and Bama might open up the playoffs a little bit.
Georgia will
still
most likely get in.
Florida State actually has the easiest road in, if you think about it. I know
being undefeated, counts.
They
for that
have
much.
the easiest road.
That's what it's going to be.
So they have the easiest road. Oregon and Texas are rooting. They need to win out and win convincingly. Yeah. They need to win by a lot because if Alabama pulls off a miracle, Georgia's out. And if they win convincingly,
I still don't know if Georgia's out.
I still don't know either.
Yeah, no, I think
they're the best team in college football. How could you bump them out of the playoffs?
I don't think Georgia's out no matter what. I think Georgia is the easiest lock in this whole list.
Unless they lose next week.
No, even if they lose next week. The only way...
Against an unranked team?
Oh, next week. I thought you meant against Alabama.
There's no way.
Oh, no, they got Tennessee. Never mind.
Yeah, no, they're playing 2 ranked teams in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah. But if they lose to Tennessee, you're bumped down to 4.
It has to be a convincing loss, though. If it's,
really? Even if it's close?
Yes, because the closer it is, the better it is for Georgia. Because that's how these rankings work. You have to understand how much you beat a team by, and your record are the 2 most important factors.
Yeah,
it because there's not really these divisions because you're playing people in the Big Ten and the SEC. You're not, there is no AL/NL East. It's just all these teams. You got to win by a lot. You got to win convincingly. And you got to beat the teams you need to beat.
I absolutely hate this style of football. I absolutely hate it.
I just can't wait till they expand the playoffs next year.
By the way, with the records, you lose 2, you're done. That's it. You cannot lose twice.
Yeah.
That's why this is how big of a game it is for Georgia. Because if Georgia beats Tennessee, they're winning they have 3 games left, they're winning the middle one. They need to beat Tennessee because if they lose to Tennessee, they open the door for Alabama to kick them out. Actually, if they lose to Tennessee, Alabama might be fighting for a playoff spot against Georgia in that final week, especially if they win convincingly, because Alabama's problem is they're not winning convincingly, but they have the record. So if it's a battle, records, I think, first. So if they beat Georgia and put them to 2 losses and they end their season at, what would it be? They go undefeated, it would be 12-1, and put Georgia at 11-2. You're in the postseason.
I get it, but Georgia's in. It's that simple. They won last year. The AP poll is not gonna beat down on Georgia. They just won't.
I think Georgia's in too, but I think it would this week.
There is a road that they could be out.
Yeah,
could, but it's not likely.
That would just all the players have to get sick, and you only play the backups. Like that is the only way I see this happening.
But the one that I think is going to be disappointed and kicked out, in my opinion, if there was one to get kicked out of these top 4, they're my favorite one. They're my bandwagon college football team because they're the ones that usually make the playoffs. It's going to be Ohio State. I think they're going to end up being disappointed. I think they might.
How about Washington?
Well, yeah, they're guaranteed the most disappointed. Yeah. But I think Ohio State might lose to Michigan and then get kicked out. After being number 1 2 weeks ago, It might get kicked out. I'm just saying Ohio State has the biggest disappointment.
Without a coach, I don't know if Michigan's winning.
Yeah, true. But if Michigan loses, though, it's no big deal because they lost their coach. But Ohio State would be the most disappointing.
It's still a big deal.
It's
still a big deal, but
because the AP does not care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what do you guys think? Let us know. Socials. Anyway. We're going to go a little bit into the NBA. Liam, you can take a deep breath now.
Let's go.
There you go.
We finally get to talk about the NBA.
Yeah, dude. He's been like, we got to stop talking about the New York football teams.
Yeah.
And the New York baseball teams. So, the LA Clippers are 0-5 since James Harden has joined the squad. Increased frustration has arrived in the locker room, and many fans are wondering if this squad can put it together. Is there a shot for the 4 stars in Westbrook, Leonard, George, and Harden to be able to make it work, or are they doomed?
I think it's crazy to say that they're doomed off the bat. I don't like Harden as much as the next guy, and I think he is a very toxic teammate. I mean, just look at his track record everywhere. I mean, open the bottle, Ben.
Sorry, I'm thirsty.
We can go?
Yeah. ASMR right there.
Yeah, whatever. So if we look at his track record, you look at Houston, he got what he wanted and threw it all away. You look at Philly, or you look at Brooklyn, super team, they all were toxic. You go to Philly, him and Joel Embiid didn't work together. He's the problem.
This is the fast version of that speech that
we know he's the problem. And we have for honestly quite some time. Him, Kyrie, KD, we knew at least Kyrie and Harden were going to be the problem. Maybe KD there was a shot for. But now he's on LA with Kawhi, who is notorious for not playing, Westbrook, who's notorious for taking bad shots, and Paul George, who's notorious for not making big shots in clutch moments. And Harden is now notorious for being a bad teammate. It's probably not going to work. It's probably not going to work because everyone is notorious for something.
I think my favorite clip so far of Harden with the Clippers is the one where he's at the 3-point line and he goes to wipe off his shoes and then he goes to shoot the shot and he just airballs it. It's a great clip. Just wiping your shoes and then airballing, especially in the NBA.
It sums up Harden at this point in his career. Rockets Harden nails that, and we all go crazy. But at this point, we know what Harden is.
Now, you can't say they're doomed because we're 2 weeks into the season?
That's my point. They're only 0-5 with him. It's not 0-20. They're not done. They could turn it around and win the next 10 games.
Harden can still get hot. And part of his playing is being streaky.
Well, look at the 4 names on this paper. I mean, it's Westbrook, Leonard, George, and Harden. While they're all, notorious for being bad players in certain times, they're also very famous for being great players at other times. And, Kawhi's a champion, Mr. Triple-Double in Westbrook. PG is just very versatile. He can do everything on the court, from dribbling to shooting to defending.
Just not be clutch.
And exactly. And Harden is one of the best scorers we've ever seen. Pure scorers, one of the best we've ever seen. But again, there's all these drawbacks, and it's kind of similar to that team in Brooklyn where it's like, we know they can do it, but we also know it's on the verge of collapsing at any time.
I think the most entertaining part of this situation is that there is a chance where all 4 of these guys get hot at the same time.
Yeah.
And if that happens, they are going to look amazing. They will look like one of the best basketball teams we've ever seen.
They could sneak in as an 8 seed and do damage in the playoffs.
But they have to make it to the 8 seed.
And they have to not let PG take the last shot.
Yes.
Okay, can I just be a little bit reasonable here? They're doomed. They're doomed. Listen to this, man. Listen to this. When was the last time that you've ever seen 4 ball handlers on a team? Who is running off the ball?
Well,
Harden? He can. He's a ball hog. He needs the ball in his hands. Westbrook? Can't. Needs the ball in his hands to be productive. Paul George? Can't. Needs the ball in his hands to be productive. That's 3. Leonard's the only one that doesn't need it.
Kawhi and PG don't need it.
PG kind of does.
PG's a wing.
He's a wing, but
he can ball handle, but it's not his primary skill.
He kind of needs it.
No, not necessarily.
But you got 4.
He's not a huge ego player.
He's not huge, but he's more than Kawhi. But okay, let's just say that the 2. You have 2 guards that are going to argue for that ball clearly. And both of them are past their prime. You have Kawhi Leonard, who is notorious for just not playing, and Paul George, who's notorious that when the clock strikes 11...
I did the whole notorious thing.
Yeah, sorry. But
I went through all 4 notorious things.
Okay, fair. Okay. So you have all of these problems.
You're not paying attention.
I was. Sorry, I just really wanted to say it again. It's like a reminder, they're all bad in their own way, but of course, as you said, they're all good in their own way. But that sum is not going to lead them anywhere. You have diva after diva, ball hog after ball hog, no team camaraderie, no chemistry, and no players that care about chemistry. They don't care about chemistry, and that's a pivotal thing, as we learned in our what do you call it? Our adult league thing. We are terrible when we don't have chemistry with our players. If you don't know who you're playing with, you're terrible. It's a pain to get used to.
Can you explain what an adult league thing is?
It's our basketball league that we're in. League.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I just needed to double check this because I remember seeing it somewhere. But James Harden did lead the league in assists per game last year. Not in straight up assists, but in assists per game.
Which is a more impressive stat.
Yes. So calling him someone who needs the ball in his hand every time, I just needed to confirm that before I said 10.7 assists per game.
How did Philly end their season?
As what, a 4 seed?
I believe so.
It's a 4 seed. They lost
the MVP.
With the MVP, yeah. You have the MVP.
He was feeding the MVP the ball.
Yeah. You have the MVP. You're the 4 seed. Get pieced up in the postseason because only your MVP really kind of showed up. They make one move, and they're the number 1 team right now. What was that one move they made? And now they're the number 1 team.
They were the number 1 team last year at one point.
They're the number 1 team right now.
I understand.
What was their one move?
Getting rid of Harden.
Yeah, so now they're the number 1 team.
But when they picked up Harden and got really good, what did you say?
They weren't the number 1 team when they picked up Harden.
They were very good. They were
very good.
Very high seed
but they
for
weren't
a
the number 1
reason.
team. They got better because they got rid of him.
We're 12 games into the season.
But they got better because they got rid of him.
The Timberwolves are the number 2 team.
Okay.
Let's not go crazy based on record.
But at the end of the day, they got
Maxey
better.
put up 50. Great. That's good for him. How often is Maxey going to put up 50?
Not incredibly.
Not often at all.
But at the
Most likely.
But they got better without him.
Oh, yeah, based off of the record.
They got better
weekend.
in 12 games.
They got better without him.
Over the weekend, they've been better, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see how that turns out.
Just so
and
you
by
know,
the way, how have the Clippers done since they got
They've
Harden?
been bad.
They're on
They've
5.
been bad.
And the team that got rid of them, they've lost once, maybe twice. Twice. Okay. They lost twice.
I do also want to reiterate, this is actually the second time in his career that a Harden has led the league in assists per game.
Cool.
So I'm just saying you can't just say he's just a ball.
By the way, that was last year. They're 0-5 right now with him, and he airballed one last game. So they're doomed. They could figure it out. They could. I'm not saying it's
so then they're
impossible.
not doomed.
So they're not doomed.
They
Doomed
could.
means there is 0.000 chance.
Of course, there's never such thing as 0.0. The Patriots could still make the playoffs if you think about it, but they're never gonna. It's kind of like that. The Clippers are.
That's quitter talk.
I believe in you guys. If you watch that Germany game, you do not believe in those guys. But anyway, sorry, I digress. But as much as I believe that the Cardinals, Patriots, and Giants can figure it out and make the postseason, is how much I think the Clippers can figure it out. So, in a normal fan standpoint, they're doomed. They're doomed. There is next to
So you
zero
don't see them
shot.
making the playoffs?
Every team makes the playoffs.
Oh, so they could make the playoffs.
They could make the play-in,
All right,
maybe.
so they could make the
maybe,
playoffs. But the
maybe.
play-in, they could win a game.
They could.
Realistically, they could win a
They're
game.
not getting out of the first round, even if they make it to the play-in.
In a 7-game series, you look at all the talent that they have on that roster. You don't think one of those guys goes off, hits a 50-piece, and they can, skate by
Win
and
one game.
win a
Postseason
series?
Kawhi.
Gentleman's sweep would be great when Kawhi goes off for 50 with that one win. The gentleman's sweep that they'll be
Kawhi's a
getting.
lockdown defender. PG's a good defender. And Harden could put up 50. Westbrook's a great bench piece. You don't see in any likely scenario them winning a playoff series.
No.
I disagree. I think it definitely could happen.
I could see them getting through the play, and I do not see them winning a playoff series. They need the matchup of a dream, like an injury-ridden team that got to the postseason, and where they're in, and then the last 2 weeks, like for example, like it's the Lakers and LeBron it's hurt, and like AD's half healthy. Then yeah, like if the circumstance is perfect, like they're literally beating a team that shouldn't be in the playoffs if they had that.
So then
team
they beat that
through.
team. They start to catch fire. A couple dangerous people heat up, and they can't win the second one.
No,
there's no way they could win the second one. But just before, they couldn't win a play-in game, and now they're winning the play-in game. But no, they couldn't. They couldn't win a series.
No.
But maybe if there's a couple, the ball rolls their way a little bit, maybe they could win.
They get a couple fall.
But no, there's no way they can win 2 playoff series.
Sure, one of the
but maybe
players
they could do it.
One of the most well-known playoff players.
We started this conversation with you saying they're doomed. And now they're in the second round.
That's the NBA format for you. But I gotta say, that's why the NBA format's so annoying. But I don't see them winning a series. I don't see them winning a playoff series. But it's literally like everyone gets to play the playoff league. So, just by the way,
which is a whole nother discussion.
My least favorite part of the NBA. But
we'll have Adam Silver on later in the season, and we'll talk about this.
Dude, I would ask that question. So why does everyone get to go to the postseason? Can you just? The MLB is the best with their postseason format. NFL is the best with their postseason games. But that's just how I feel. But anyway, so you guys think there's still a shot?
Yeah.
How long will you give that leash for? Let's say they kind of stay at like a 1-4 type team for the next couple of weeks. How long is the leash?
All-Star break.
All-Star break?
Yeah, I'm saying just past the All-Star break.
Yeah.
You're giving like a week or two after the All-Star break?
Yeah.
That's how you kind of know how a team's season's turning out.
So I think I still think they have a chance because it's not just these guys. There's potential for everyone else on this team to pop off. You can have a couple bench pieces. You could have a couple other guys have great games that would also help this team. We can't just say that this team's entirely reliant on these 4 guys. Now, they kind of are, but that doesn't mean anyone else can not just pop off and help the team at the same time.
Okay. So guys, it is time for game time.
Nope. Cut it.
All right, guys. We got a new one again. Another new game. Liam, do you like how I do a new game every week, or do you want to just stick to the ones we have, or do you want to keep going with the new
I
one?
generally enjoy new games.
What about you, Rob?
I like new games, but we should bring back a couple of the favorites.
Maybe tweak them a little bit here and there.
Yeah,
But
figure out what really works before we find out what's truly a perfect game.
And if you really want to have a game return on the podcast, Liam, how could you tell it?
I guess you could call me. I don't know. My number is.
I'm just gonna dox them real quick.
We have a fax number. I can get that for you later. No, hit us up on social media. Definitely reach out. We love hearing from you guys, so definitely let us know that way.
Also, Morse code.
Smoke signals.
If you...
Zach, would you like to share what you're up to?
Bro, your face when we looked over. Deer in the headlights. It was perfect.
I didn't think it was going to be that loud, to be honest.
All right. That was our roommate, Zach, pouring some good old agua. You thirsty?
Found a quieter method.
It's fine. We'll wait. It's fine. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. I'm probably not going to edit this one out.
This one was funny, honestly. You might be in our podcast, low-key.
Yes.
That's how you crash a podcast 101.
Yeah. So shout out Zach there. Oh, Zach.
Yo.
I have a quick question for you. As we wait for him to pour more water. Can you go tell the pod, do you think the Clippers are doomed? Or do you think the Clippers can work it out with Harden? Come to the mic and tell us.
You don't want to shout it at us.
Yeah, come to the
I
mic.
don't know what to say.
If it's bad, we'll cut it.
Are the Clippers doomed? Yes or no? You are the tie-breaking
But
vote.
come right here. Stand right on the corner.
Of the 3 of us, this is how you break a tie vote.
Do they have Harden?
They have Harden, Westbrook, PG, and Kawhi.
Are they doomed?
They're 0-5, though.
If they're 0-5, I'd say they're doing. I mean, they got good players, but it doesn't make them doing anything. I don't know if they're good anymore, but I
There you
remember, I
have
remember
it.
they were fire back in the day. Like all I heard was about James
Those are good
Harden.
names, dude.
That's what I'm saying.
If
but
this team
they're
is
0-5,
if this team
like-
is 5 years ago, they're running through everybody.
But that's what
Of
they say all the
They're
time
running through
about
everybody.
teams. If this
Well,
was
look at the
5 years
Bucks.
ago-
Look at the Bucks. Tom Brady, Leonard Fournette, all those
That
names on
team would
that
go
team,
undefeated in 2017.
and they won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It
And
works.
they won a Super Bowl.
It works.
Yeah. It worked. The Rams kind of too. But thank you.
Thank you,
And
Zach.
That
Thank
was
you.
that was
Great job.
the first installment of Zach Take. All right, so game time. We got a new game. This one is going to be called Top 3. I changed it. It was top 5 to start, but it's
Yeah,
top 3.
you have top 5 written, and then everywhere else is 3.
Yeah.
I was
it's top
I was
3.
kind of confused.
So this is called Top 3.
Top 37.
Top 3. Here, I will give you both a prompt of the top 3 of something. You guys will have to give your top 3 honestly. But here's the catch. You also have to give what you think the other player's top 3 are. Whoever guesses the other's top 3 correctly wins. Are you guys ready?
No.
Let's do it!
All right, guys, find a spot where you can write down stuff for me. And here we go. The first set of top 3. We're going to do all the top 3s of your personal first. All right?
And then we guess? Can we do our top 3, then
Just
guess,
write
then
down your
our
top 3. Yeah,
and
you're going to
guess?
get. Yeah. No. It's going to be all 3. And
I'm
then
going to
we're
forget.
Fine. We'll do it your way. All right. The first set of top 3. Who do you guys put down? And your honest answer, eliminate Tom Brady. Who is your top 3 quarterbacks of all time? You cannot say Tom Brady.
Cannot say Tom Brady.
Cannot say Tom Brady.
Okay.
Because that makes it way too easy for one. So, the top 3 quarterbacks. Now, while you guys write down, I'm going to have fun and say what I think are my top 3 quarterbacks.
Well, no. Please.
Well, I want to talk about what I think.
No, wait. You can't do that because that'll give us ideas.
Well, who cares? You're putting down your top 3, and it doesn't matter.
we can't. So we can't say Tom Brady.
You cannot say Tom Brady. It doesn't matter what I think. It's up to you two. It's personal. So my personal top 3 quarterbacks, obviously number 1 is Tom Brady, because he's my childhood hero, and he is the greatest quarterback to ever exist. But number 2, this is a controversial one, because number 2 is the toughest one to think of. But my number 2 quarterback of all time, I think right now, is Peyton Manning. He's my number 2 quarterback. But my number 3 is crazy because I feel like it might be too early. But right now, my 3rd greatest quarterback of all time is Pat Mahomes. I think he is phenomenal. He is my 3rd best quarterback of all time. Aaron Rodgers is right there, though. Aaron Rodgers, Joe Montana. Number 3 is so it changes every day. Tomorrow I could wake up and say it's Joe Montana. Tomorrow I could wake up and say it's John Elway. Tomorrow I could wake up and say it's Aaron Rodgers. So number 3 is... And Drew Brees is up there, too. So 3 is hard, but I'm going to stick with Patty Mahomes because I think in 3 years it's going to be solidified at 3. So that's why those are my top 3 quarterbacks. But, all right, we're going to start with Rob. Who do you think Liam's top 3 quarterbacks are?
Okay. For Liam's top 3 all-time quarterbacks, I have coming in at number 3, Buffalo Bills Josh Allen.
All right, and number 2?
Number 2, Joe Montana.
All right. And number 1. By the way, this is eliminating Tom Brady. Tom Brady's not on this list.
You already met. Okay, fine. And coming in at number 1, 2-time Super Bowl champion Eli Manning.
All right.
I love where your head went. That's not where my list went, but I love where your head went.
All right. Liam, what was your actual top 3?
So my number 1 was very similar, Peyton Manning, okay? And my 3, also very similar, Aaron Rodgers. I went strictly arm talent for my number 3.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you were on the same page. You just guessed the wrong quarterback.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 you got right. Joe Montana.
All right.
Yeah. So my list goes Peyton, Montana, Rodgers.
So, Rob, you have 1 point after that. So, Liam, who do you think Rob's top 3 quarterbacks are?
I went Peyton, Montana, and I was very, very tempted to go Joe Flacco. Very tempted. But I went Steve Young.
You would have been 3 for 3 if you said Joe Flacco. It's Peyton Manning, Joe Montana, Joe Flacco.
Why do I not trust the gut? I always should trust the gut.
You would have been 3 for 3.
Well, right now, Liam is in the lead after the first set of questions. Liam has the lead at 2-1. And Joe Montana, 2 for 2. You guys both think Joe Montana's the third greatest quarterback of all time. And Peyton is second.
Peyton's 2.
So we all agree, but I went a little younger. I went Patty Mahomes.
I originally actually had Rodgers above Montana. And then I thought about it because Rodgers is a choker.
I think
what hurts him.
Rodgers, Mahomes, and Montana are all kind of in that stratosphere.
Yeah.
Mahomes is so fresh that you could argue not yet.
Mahomes was close. I thought about him, but it was a little early. I don't know.
But Montana is so far away, you could forget his greatness.
True.
Rodgers is that perfect middle of our childhood.
True.
But Rodgers is a choker. So they're all, it's all like which one, it's kind of like that one's the arguing one.
To me, Peyton was the sheriff, though, so you got to put him at 2.
Peyton was the greatest gunslinger. And by the way, he was a stat monster.
Yeah.
See,
Stat monster.
I was thinking just writing down Peyton Manning for you, but then I was like, wait. He has another Manning who's on his favorite team who's won him 2 Super Bowls. So I went with that guy instead.
That's funny.
I thought about putting them both on the list, but I was like, I'll just pick one.
All right, guys. Next set. There is no elimination. So, not like Tom Brady. You can say anyone from this league.
Okay.
Your top 3 greatest baseball players of all time. This goes all the way back to the days of the great Bambino, Babe Ruth. You could talk about the Larpin Lou Gehrig. You could talk about Mickey Mantle, Ted Williams, Willie Mays, Barry Bonds, Mike Trout. But here is my top 3 while you guys write it down. My top 3 baseball players of all time. Coming in at number 3, I'm going with the kid, Ken Griffey Jr. At number 2, I'm going with Barry Bonds. And at number 1, of course, he's the OG. There is no baseball of today without him. I'm going Babe Ruth. He's probably not the best player, but he's the greatest player in my opinion. The best player is still Barry Bonds. There's no doubt about it. Barry Bonds was an absolute unit. I mean, low-key he cheated, but still, come on. That was incredible. And if you forget Barry Bonds, watch his highlights. He probably was cheating. I don't know if it was cheating, but
He was on so many steroids.
Yeah, but it was so cool.
Can't deny the greatness, though.
You can't deny it.
Everyone else is on steroids too.
Yeah. So, all right. So we'll switch it. Liam, who do you think Rob's top 3 baseball players of all time are?
He's a big Bronx guy, man. He's a big Bronx guy. Ruth Gehrig Mantle.
Wow. And Rob?
Number 3, I got Nolan Ryan, one of the best pitchers to ever
No
live.
way.
You went to Yankees. He knows his ball.
Number 2, a little recency bias, but I genuinely think this is a true outcome. I'm going Shohei Ohtani.
The injury made me not write that name down.
Number 1, Barry Bonds.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I honestly, I would have been close. I wouldn't have gone Shohei. I knew you would pick a pitcher, so I was like, who's the greatest pitcher of all time? And I knew you'd pick Barry Bonds. I just didn't know Shohei.
Can I warn you of a pick in good faith? It's in good faith,
Okay,
though. You
in good faith?
One of them is a personal preference.
Okay. So,
Strong personal preference.
okay. See, I think I may have understood this going into this. Because at number 3, I have for you Barry Bonds.
Okay.
Number 2, I put Hank Aaron,
Okay.
just because he's like Barry Bonds, but just without the steroids. And at number 1, I put the fastest man in baseball, Tim LeCastro.
You have the list almost reversed. 1 Bonds, 2 Ruth, 3 Timmy Lowe.
Oh, no!
So that is, I'm going to give him one.
He should get a point.
He gets 1 point because he gets 2 half
You
points.
should get a half point
If
for
you-
every player
there
that's
you go.
on there but not in the right
Exactly. So that is 1 point for Rob and 0 points for Liam.
spot. Way to be, man. Way to be.
That's crazy. And also the hint was super helpful. The
Well,
hint
no, I already,
He already had it written.
already written. It was
He didn't
the
change
first name
anything
I
on his
wrote down.
paper.
Oh my gosh. That's great. By the way, Timmy Lowe is the greatest baseball player to ever
Timbo
exist.
Lowe,
Why
baby.
didn't I think of it? I'm so dumb for that. Timmy Lowe, baby. All right. And number 3 for top 3. Top 3. I left this one blank to think. I want to think of one on the spot.
Oh,
Top.
great. So now we got to sit here and wait. Bum, 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 bum.
Hey.
Bum, bum, bum.
All right, we don't want to get copyright, so let's just. What's our top 3 here?
All right. The top 3 greatest NBA centers of all time. Big men. The big boys. Now, my top...
You were so vague with the last 2 categories, and you have to go so hyper-specific with this one.
Honestly prefer the specificness.
All right. The top 3 centers of all time. My top 3 centers coming in at 3rd would be the 100-point game scorer that Liam thinks is controversial if that ever happened.
He's not going on my list.
Chamberlain. At number 2, I gotta go with barbecue chicken alert. The most dominant center to ever play the game, Shaquille O'Neal. And at number 1, Mr. Points himself, besides LeBron, now he's 2nd, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So those are my top 3 centers. Are we ready? Or not yet.
No. Give me a second.
No, not yet. Not yet.
Give me 1 second.
Oh, wait, I need his.
Should we have music for this game?
Can do whatever your little heart desires.
Well, you'll figure out. You probably already would have known if the song played. That'd be so funny. Like, wow, they're deciding it live.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
top 3 NBA centers of all time. Rob,
Yes.
who are Liam's top 3 NBA centers of all time?
You know, I think this one was actually easier after giving it some thought and looking up a
I'm
list of
pretty outspoken.
who the centers are. I'm gonna go with number 1, Kareem.
Okay.
Number 2, Shaq. Number 3, Andre Drummond.
You're wrong.
Wow, what is it, Liam?
Number 1 is Jokic. The best, man.
Okay.
Number 2 is Kareem.
Okay.
Number 3 is Shaq. Shaq's just so dominant.
All right,
I thought about Shaq being number 2, but you can't deny Kareem.
that is 1 point for Rob. All right, Liam, who are Rob's top 3 NBA centers of all time?
Large Diesel, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Bozo Fraud Wilt Chamberlain.
I have Shaq at number 1.
Yep. Give me them points.
Number 2, I do have Kareem.
Give me them points.
Number 3, William Russell. Bill Russell.
Bill Russell, yeah.
So
That's
that
a good
is
one.
2
That's a good one.
points. 2 points, and that will be kind of all she wrote for top 3.
Who won?
With 4 points, Liam is the victor to Rob's 3 points.
I actually really like that.
That was a fun game, honestly. That was a fun game.
I don't know if that's great for the listeners, but for us personally, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, I think some.
I think this one was actually better than last week's for the listeners.
What was last week's?
The stats, but they couldn't see the stats.
You're right.
But here's the thing, they'll probably also you could be guessing with us. You could pick who you think their top 3 are.
True.
Tell us how you guys did.
Now we're gonna guess the listeners' top 3.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that would be kind of fun. So if
Also
actually,
wouldn't make much sense.
and if you want to put your top 3 on of anything, you can let us know through.
We have the internet. We have many outlets on the internet.
Carrier pigeons.
Yeah, mostly that.
If you want to hide it inside the shell of a snail and just tell them to get here, we'll wait.
You can come to our home and then deliver it in person.
United States Postal System also works.
Yep. And I think we should
Message in a bottle.
probably tweet out Ben's phone number.
Oh, we're definitely going to tweet
Okay.
out Ben's phone number.
All right, so yeah, go on our Twitter, look at Ben's phone number, and then hit us up through that.
That's not helpful.
Oh wait, they could just hit us up on Twitter.
They go to Twitter just to text me. All right. So we're going to move into our final story before we go to locks and upsets. Josh Allen last night for us and for you guys like 2 or 3 nights ago threw 2 more interceptions to add on to a NFL leading 11 interceptions. Mac Jones is not the interception leader. It was for a little over 24 hours, but whatever. And he also had a fumble. And once again, another extremely slow start to the first half netted Buffalo another loss to the Denver Broncos, falling to 5-5. But it's not all bad for the Buffalo Bills because every team in the AFC East lost pathetically. So, though it was all bad. All of the losses were pathetic. So Miami is the winner for just not doing anything last week. So, do all of these teams have any shot of doing anything that they're projected to do? And when we all are done saying no, who has the most hope in the AFC East?
God, that's tough. Because I think Miami is the better team, but I also don't think they're capable of beating good teams right now. Until I see it happen, I don't believe it. I think Buffalo is the worst team right now. Well, let's just rule out the Jets and Patriots. We can just do that, right?
Yeah.
And I think Buffalo is the worst team, but I think they are able to play up to competition better. Who do you trust against the Eagles, the 49ers, the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Ravens?
Buffalo. Over Miami, Buffalo.
Now, who do you trust to get a win against the Jets?
Miami,
me too. That's where it's difficult. And I really don't know who I trust to make the playoffs.
But odds are Miami.
Miami, because they have the better record right now.
Yeah. And Buffalo, but the thing is, good news for Buffalo is they play a bunch of tough teams.
They play a bunch of tough teams.
Which is great.
Which is somehow a good thing.
Which is insane.
Because, well, to be fair though, is there something in Denver? Because they just beat the Chiefs too.
I think there is.
It's got to be a little bit.
They fixed
a little something.
We've disrespected them for quite some time. We do have to give them their flowers. They just beat two really good teams.
They are ever since falling to 0-1-4, 1-3. They were the worst defense. But since their 3-game winning streak that they're now on, 3-game winning streak, they are the best defense in football.
Well, we thought they were going to clean house at the deadline.
They did not.
They didn't get rid of anybody really.
And I think Russ has been playing smarter. Russ was throwing some great throws under severe duress on Monday night. And Sutton made an unbelievable catch for that touchdown. And I still think Jerry Jeudy ain't it, but Sutton's okay. And they have a solid running game, but their defense has been balling.
Yeah, their defense, it's a talented defense at least.
Yeah, so I think that
maybe Sean Payton effect took a while to kick in. Like, what are we thinking? I don't know what this is for them.
I don't know. But back to the AFC East really quick. Who do you think has the best future after this year?
After this year?
Say the year ends. Unless
are we talking 1 year future? Are we talking distant future? What are we talking?
We're talking, who do you think will emerge? Because they all are, except for the Patriots right now, they're all on the verge of taking over as a Super Bowl contender. But they all at any point could next year become dominant. All three, as long as Belichick
I want to
stays.
say Miami, but my problem with Miami is injuries. Tyree could go at any point. He's a small wide receiver. You know how they are. Same with Waddle. We know about Tua's injuries.
Jalen Ramsey is
always being injured.
Yeah.
And who's their other corner who was also injured this year?
Oh, Xavier Howard.
Xavier Howard also injured this year. And I think Taron Armstead also was injured at one point during this year.
Yeah.
All their best and A-Chain was on IR. Mostert's aging.
It's not.
There's a lot of question marks there in terms of injuries. But I think they're also better coached, and I think in terms of pure talent, they're better.
Do you think so?
I'm sorry, but if we're just assuming like this season's a write-off, we're going on to the future. Yes, yeah. That's all.
They canceled the season right now.
I also think,
if I'm being honest, I think it might be the Jets.
Jets have 1 to 2 years though.
I understand that, but Ben left this so open-ended that
that was my problem too. Yeah,
that I'm going with the 1 to 2 year mark just because it's more immediate, and the Jets really just need a quarterback to stay healthy. And I think they can do some damage. Maybe a couple linemen. Maybe a couple linemen.
And the defense has been a little overhyped.
So is the wide receivers.
Garrett Wilson.
The whole team.
Yeah, but they also have Zach Wilson throwing them the ball.
True.
So I think if you get a quarterback who is more consistent and maybe 1 or 2 linemen who can hold that line more steady, I think that team can do some legit damage in this league.
And also, Robert Saleh is not the best coach. We've learned that in the situations he's been dealing with. But I think that there's too many holes for the Jets. I think they thought they had it, but they didn't. And I think that I think in short term, I'm going to go with Miami. And for long term, I'm not even trying to be a homer here. I just think
the Patriots.
I'm gonna go
I love them. I love the Patriots.
The Patriots. We're about to, get rid of every single player, clean
Draft
house,
third overall.
possibly hire,
I think
fire
they'll be
our
back
head
next
coach.
year.
Yeah, we got a great picture. We have no idea what we're doing at the end of this year.
All right,
Great picture.
So, to cap off the rest of us talking about things, we have a big game on Thursday night for Rob here. The Baltimore Ravens will be facing the Cincinnati Bengals. And what will probably be a telling of who is going to be taking this division.
As long as the Ravens aren't up by 10 or more at any single point in this game, we will win. It's only when we're up by 10 or more that we lose games, which is insane. We played the Browns. We lost to the Browns. Ben, do you think you can guess how long the Browns had a lead for during that entire game?
A minute.
0.00 seconds. They did not have a lead for any clock time that entire game.
The ball went through after the clock hit 0.
Oh my god.
The only time the Ravens didn't have the lead was before their pick 6 in the first quarter. So
40 total seconds of tie game.
And then the Ravens had the lead up until the very, very last second.
Wow.
The Ravens have the most games where we lose when having a lead by 10 or more in the last 2 years.
Ripper.
It's very interesting that the Ravens, for a very long time, have just been a quarter-by-quarter team. Either we'll play the first half or the second half, or we'll play the first and third quarter, or second and fourth. We don't just play the whole game. And I think against the Bengals, as long as we can keep it consistent and use all of our tools, because we'll just use Gus the Bus for a little while, and then we'll just stop using him for a whole quarter, and then we'll go back to using him. It's the inconsistency that's helping the Ravens lose. But I think we'll be fine as long as we don't have a lead of 10 or more.
All right. Who do you think's winning, Liam? Ravens or Bengals? It's a tough.
Big
one.
God,
trust.
that's tough.
It's tough. But the
Since he's
Bengals
no
just
longer
lost
hot.
to Houston. So that's something to think about, too.
You're right, but theirs was a shootout. Yours was more crushing. Your loss.
Oh yeah, no, it crushed.
It was crushing.
It was crushing.
Now, I don't know what that does to a locker room, though, because good teams get better and worse teams get worse.
I think the Ravens will come out wanting to win, especially
Where
because
is the
it's
game?
in Baltimore.
I think you guys probably win that. It's a toss-up. It really is.
The only reason I'm not just saying this because I'm a homer. I'm saying Baltimore is just because I believe in our defense. One of the reasons the Browns came back is because of a pick by Lamar.
Yeah.
I think our defense can hold the Cincinnati Bengals down. We can stop the run game. That much we've proved. The past game is kind of where we falter here and there. So I think we have a fair shot against the Bengals to just genuinely just beat them.
Okay. I like it.
Ben?
I'm gonna go with the Ravens. I just think the Bengals are too inconsistent. I think their wide receivers are too hurt.
Wait, did we all just say Ravens?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm changing my answer to the Bengals.
Okay.
All right.
That's
sorry.
really weird.
I'm sorry. Every single time, it's one of those graphics where everyone picks one team.
That's fair.
That team loses.
That's
I'm
fair.
picking the Bengals now. Locking it in.
Real homer over here.
All right. So we're gonna go into our locks.
Such a homer. I have to root for the idea.
We're going to go into our locks and upsets of the week, and we are gonna lead off.
I need to go first because somebody's gonna pick one if not.
All right, Liam, go.
So yeah, you're gonna be upset because I'm gonna steal this one from you. It's the most glaringly obvious one. I'm taking T1 over Weibo in the League of Legends World Championship. That's gonna be Sunday, November 19th.
All right, so I
2
gotta
a.m.
scrap that.
At 2 a.m. So tune in.
Okay, give me 1 second. You know
Because
what?
you need to find one now, right?
Yep. Give me 1 second. Okay, wait. All right, wait. I think I got it. I think I have it.
Do you think you got it?
I have my lock of the week. Red Bull's Max Verstappen winning this Las Vegas Grand Prix this weekend.
Really? Really? You think so?
He's
you
won the
ran?
last 5 races by 10 seconds or more.
I'm not buying it. I think it's fraudulent, man. I think he's just
Who?
Max Verstappen.
God
Red
damn.
Bull's Formula One.
He doesn't even know Max Verstappen.
Stappen.
Dude, he's won the last 5 by 10 or more.
Red Bulls. Wait, Max Verstappen. Red Bulls.
Yes, the car.
Oh, Red Bulls racing.
I don't
it's
see
Formula
him,
One.
I don't see him keeping up this pace. I mean, it's been ungodly.
It really. I don't know if you've actually watched any clips.
Oh
of
yeah, I've
how
watched
that-
plenty of this championship series, but I'm just not buying it. I'm sorry. 5 times you're telling me he's won 10 or more seconds? He can't keep up that pace. Somebody's bound to take him down.
His car's just faster.
Well, he sucks.
Okay. Ben, you're locked.
I was gonna go with Ohio State over Minnesota.
That's the pick.
Yeah.
You said
I
that
thought you
with a
said
question mark.
You were gonna go.
Ohio
I'm
State
going
over
Ohio
Minnesota.
State over Minnesota.
Of course you are. That's so boring, dude. Of course you would pick the easy one.
All
And he
right.
said it with such...
Well, I thought these was supposed to be a lock.
It is.
I'm just kidding. I told you to just pick the boring one. I literally just said it. So
All right.
Mine's a minus 350 point favorite.
All right. So, Liam, what is your upset of the week?
give me the Warriors over the T-Wolves tonight at 10:10.
Tonight?
Yeah,
November 14th, 2023.
the very one.
Okay.
And Rob?
Saturday football at noon. I have Rutgers taking down Penn State. I don't care if they're ranked. We're gonna be pesky.
What was that?
It's so on brand for
It's
Rob.
so
That's
on
just
brand.
what he does. It's the bottom of the ninth.
The bottom of the night.
The bottom of the night.
Yeah, there you go.
This is so...
You gotta put like true lifetime smoker into it.
Yeah,
You know?
like you've hated yourself for years. Yeah,
But not just yourself, your favorite sports team.
yeah.
What's... You guys are weird.
How did I get dragged into this?
Just saying. Those are weird individuals.
You're the one that just...
I'm going to have faith that the New Orleans Pelicans will beat the Dallas Mavericks tonight.
I wasn't buying that one. I saw it. I wasn't buying it.
Yeah, I'm going with the New Orleans over Mavs tonight. It's going between Grizzlies beating the Lakers too because LeBron might be hurt, but I think the Grizzlies are terrible. So, as always, I'd like to thank you all for listening. You can follow us on our socials at Dear Hollow Heroes and also email us through dearhollowheroes@gmail.com. Message us and let us know about what you think about the topics we discussed, or give us a take of your own, or give us a top 3 of your own, or give us a Uniball question, or give...
Just do something.
Just do something. No, I'm kidding. We love all the interaction, and that's why I love to ask you guys. Listen to us on most platforms where you get your podcast. Thank you, Liam and Rob, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.
Big Truz.
Big Gertrudes.